There's a question every person should answer before growing old. What are you willing to lose just to keep someone beside you? Many people believe the greatest tragedy is growing old alone. It is not. The greatest tragedy is growing old beside someone who slowly convinces you that you are no longer enough. There are prisons built with stone, and there are prisons built with words. The second kind is far more dangerous because the door is always open. Yes, the prisoner never leaves. This is the story of a man who spent years trying to earn a love that should have been freely given. By the time he realized what it had cost him, he had almost forgotten who he was. Sit with me for a while, because this story may save someone years of silent suffering. The old man had lived a full life. He had buried friends, raised children, survived failures, worked harder than most people ever knew. His hands carried the marks of decades of sacrifice, and his face told stories no photograph could fully capture. Then late in life, someone entered his world. She made him feel young again. She laughed at his stories. She admired his experience. She looked at him in a way that made him believe time had somehow reversed itself. For the first time in many years, he looked in the mirror and smiled. Not because he looked younger, but because he felt seen. And that feeling can be dangerously addictive. When a thirsty soul finally receives affection, it rarely asks whether the water is clean. It simply drinks. He believed fate had rewarded him with another chance at happiness. He had no idea it was the beginning of his greatest lesson. The changes did not arrive like thunder. They arrived like dust, small enough to ignore. One afternoon she laughed when you forgot something. "It must be your age," she said. He laughed too. Another day she compared him to younger men. Again he smiled. He told himself she was only joking. But jokes repeated often become beliefs. Soon every conversation carried a hidden comparison. Every compliment came with a condition. Every act of kindness was followed by a reminder of what he supposedly lacked. He noticed that he apologized more often. He explained himself more often. He questioned himself more often. Without realizing it, he had begun asking permission to be himself. That is how self-respect disappears. Not in one dramatic moment, but in thousands of tiny compromises. The strange thing about emotional manipulation is, it rarely begins with cruelty. It begins with hope. One day you are praised, the next day you are criticized, then praised again, then criticized again. Your mind becomes trapped. You stop asking whether the relationship is healthy. Instead, you spend all your energy trying to return to those beautiful moments from the beginning. You become convinced that if you try harder, love will come back. But genuine love does not disappear every time you make a mistake. Control does. Real affection brings peace. Manipulation creates confusion. One makes you stronger, the other makes you dependent. The old man did not understand this, at least not yet. As months passed, something inside him began to shrink. He no longer spoke with confidence. He stopped sharing his opinions. He became careful with every sentence. He feared saying the wrong thing. He feared disappointing her. He feared losing her. But there was one fear even greater. He feared being alone. Many people stay in unhealthy relationships not because they are loved, but because they are terrified of silence. They mistake company for companionship, yet there is a loneliness that exists even while sitting beside another person. That loneliness is far heavier than an empty house, because it whispers, "You are invincible." One evening, after another painful argument, he walked outside alone. The streets were quiet. The wind moved quietly through the trees. For the first time in years, nobody was criticizing him. Nobody was comparing him. Nobody was asking him to become someone else. Only silence remained. And in that silence, he heard a voice he had ignored for far too long, his own voice. It asked him only one question: when did you stop respecting yourself? The question struck harder than any insult ever had, because he knew the answer. It had not happened yesterday. It had happened little by little. Each time he accepted disrespect, each time he chose peace over truth, each time he abandoned himself just to avoid losing someone else. The next morning he stood before a mirror. He studied every wrinkle, every gray hair, every scar. For years he had seen those things as proof that life was leaving him behind. Now he saw something different. Every wrinkle represented survival. Every gray hair represented wisdom. Every scar represented a battle he had already won. Why then was he allowing one person's opinion to erase an entire lifetime of victories? Age had never reduced his worth. Only his belief had, and beliefs can cage. When he finally spoke to her, he did not raise his voice. Wisdom rarely shouts. It simply becomes firm. He thanked her for the good moments they had shared. He admitted he had loved deeply, but he also admitted something even more important. He had forgotten to love himself. He explained that love without respect is not love. It is dependency wearing the mask of affection. He wished her well, then he walked away. She expected him to return, but he never did, because some doors should remain closed once you finally escape. The first weeks were difficult. The house felt empty. Meals were quieter. Evenings seemed longer. There were moments when he almost called her, not because she has changed, but because loneliness can make us romanticize our pain. Fortunately, he waited, and something remarkable happened. Every passing day felt a little lighter. He laughed more. He slept better. He visited old friends. He picked up forgotten hobbies. He traveled to places he had postponed for years. Little by little, he discovered the man who had existed long before that relationship began. He realized something profound. He had not lost love. He had lost fear, and fear had been pretending to be love all along. As the seasons changed, people noticed something different about him. He smiled without forcing it. He walked with quiet confidence. He no longer sought approval. He no longer needed to prove his worth. Nothing about his age had changed. Nothing about his face had changed. Only his understanding had changed. That was enough, because freedom rarely begins when the world changes. Freedom begins when your mind does. Before you close today's scroll, carry these 5 lessons with you. First, never confuse attention with love. Many people know how to make you feel important. Very few people know how to truly value you. Secondly, if you constantly have to prove your worth, you are standing before the wrong audience. The right people will recognize your value without asking you to perform it. Third, loneliness is painful, but losing yourself is far worse. Never trade your identity simply to avoid an empty chair at the Never trade your identity simply to avoid an empty chair at the dinner table. Fourth, growing older does not reduce your value. It increases your wisdom. Anyone who cannot appreciate that wisdom is revealing their own blindness, not your weakness. And finally, the longest relationship you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. Protect it, nurture it, respect it, because every relationship will eventually be measured against that one. Remember this: the world may admire your success, it may celebrate your youth, It may even applaud your sacrifices, but none of those things can replace self-respect. The person who learns to walk away from disrespect has already won a victory that no one can take away. When peace finally becomes more valuable than approval, life begins again. And perhaps that is the greatest wisdom of all. Until our next scroll, guard your dignity, protect your heart, and never forget that the love you give yourself teaches the world exactly how to love you.